Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel, where every video is a new story, a new lesson, or a fresh perspective for us to explore together. Today, we're diving into a topic that's both familiar and yet profoundly thought-provoking. Why growing older is one of life's greatest gifts. When we talk about aging, many of us have mixed emotions. Some people fear getting older, while others find peace and joy in the process of maturing. What about you? How do you feel when you think about getting older? For some, it's about wrinkles, gray hairs, and losing the youthful energy we once had. But for others, aging is something to embrace, a journey filled with wisdom, deeper connections, and new opportunities. I know that aging isn't something we often celebrate or talk about openly. We live in a world that's obsessed with youth, and it can sometimes feel like the older we get, the more invisible we become. But the truth is, there's so much value in the years we accumulate, the experiences, the lessons, the relationships we build along the way. These are the things that truly define who we are. So, today, let's take a step back and appreciate the beauty in growing older. As we age, we become more in tune with who we truly are, what we really want in life, and how we want to spend our time. There's a sense of freedom that comes with maturity. We care less about impressing others and more about living authentically. We learn to value the little moments, the simple joys, and the people who matter most. But enough about me. I want to hear from you. What does aging mean to you? What have you learned as you've gotten older? I'd love for you to share your thoughts and experiences with me in the comments below. Whether you're in your 20s, 30s, or beyond, every stage of life has its own unique beauty. Let's open up this conversation and inspire each other. And hey, if you enjoyed this video or feel like it resonates with you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us create more content like this, and I'd love for you to join our community. So go ahead and leave a comment, like, and subscribe. I can't wait to hear what you think. All right, let's dive into today's topic, shall we? When we think of aging, we often associate it with things like gray hair, wrinkles, or declining health. However, the truth is that we tend to forget one crucial point. Aging is not a curse, but rather a celebration of everything we've experienced and everything that lies ahead. In fact, many of us view aging as something negative, something we try to avoid or delay. But have we ever stopped to think that each day, each passing year, is an opportunity to grow, to live more fully, and to build deeper memories and relationships? The older we get, the more chances we have to become the best version of ourselves. Let's take a moment to look back at our journey of growing up. The early years of life were filled with joy, challenges, and exploration. We learned from our mistakes, from falling down and getting back up, and step by step, we found our way. Surely, you've had moments where, looking back, you felt proud of overcoming those difficulties. Each additional year is not a burden, but a milestone of growth, wisdom, and maturity. Speaking of growth, an important aspect of aging is that as we get older, we also learn to accept and love ourselves more. What used to be a source of worry, things like appearance, health, or societal expectations, become strengths that help us feel more confident. We realize that true confidence doesn't come from having a perfect appearance, but from accepting who we are and understanding that each wrinkle, each sign of time, is a testament to a life well lived. We also notice that as we age, we tend to prioritize more lasting values. In our younger years, we may have spent a lot of time chasing after temporary things like material wealth or external recognition. But as we grow older, we begin to appreciate things that can't be measured by money or fame, like genuine friendships, a loving family, and simple moments of joy. These things become even more precious when we can look back at the years that have passed and see that what we've built is what truly brings happiness. There's a quote I really love: "Aging isn't a problem, it's an art. The art of acceptance, the art of self-love, and the art of cherishing the little things in life." So instead of viewing aging as a curse, let's see it as an opportunity to live more fully, love more deeply, and become the best version of ourselves. One of the wonderful things about getting older is that we learn to let go of things that no longer serve us. We no longer need to live up to societal expectations or hold on to superficial goals. We've become wiser. And now, we value authenticity over perfection. Aging offers us the freedom to shed old beliefs and embrace new, more meaningful ways of living. We begin to focus on what truly matters, building memories, making a positive impact, and nurturing the relationships that bring us joy. Aging also gives us the chance to share our wisdom with others. Over the years, we accumulate knowledge, experiences, and lessons that can benefit not just ourselves but those around us. We become the mentors, the guides, and the storytellers who inspire and help others along their own journey. It's incredibly fulfilling to see the younger generation thrive, knowing that we've played a part in their growth. It's important to remember that every phase of life has its beauty. In our youth, we have the energy to chase our dreams and the time to explore the world. In midlife, we gain stability, clarity, and a deeper understanding of who we are. And in our later years, we have the wisdom to appreciate the value of every moment and the grace to let go of what no longer serves us. Aging is not something to fear, but something to celebrate because it is an essential part of the human experience. So, as we age, let's celebrate the gifts that come with it. Let's embrace the process and honor the experiences that shape us into who we are. Because in the end, aging isn't a curse, it's a privilege, a celebration, and a reminder that life is beautiful, no matter the number of candles on the cake. Let's hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and let us know how you've embraced the aging process in your own life. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more positive content. Remember, each year is a milestone, so let's celebrate it together. As we journey through life, we encounter countless experiences that shape us into the people we are today. Some of these experiences are joyful and uplifting, while others challenge us in ways we never expected. Yet, through it all, there's one thing that stands out as an undeniable truth: the gift of wisdom that comes from the lessons we learn along the way. Wisdom is not something we are born with, nor is it a trait that comes easily. It's something we acquire over time, often through trial and error, through successes and failures, and through the connections we make with others. Every single experience, whether positive or negative, offers us an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to understand life in a deeper, more meaningful way. When we are young, we often think we know it all. We believe that we have all the answers, and that the world will bend to our will. But as we age, we begin to realize that wisdom comes from humility, from acknowledging that there is so much more to learn. Wisdom comes from understanding that life is not about perfection, but about embracing the imperfections and learning from them. It's about accepting that we will stumble, but it's in the getting up and continuing the journey that we find true growth. One of the most powerful lessons that wisdom teaches us is the importance of patience. In our fast-paced world, we are often impatient and expect instant results. We want things to happen right now, and when they don't, we get frustrated or discouraged. However, wisdom reminds us that the best things in life take time. Relationships take time to build, dreams take time to realize, and true happiness is something that unfolds gradually. We can't rush the process of life, and that's okay. The journey itself is where the magic happens. Another valuable lesson that wisdom brings is the importance of perspective. Life is filled with ups and downs, and it's easy to get caught up in the struggles and challenges. However, wisdom teaches us that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. When we change our perspective, we can see obstacles as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. This shift in mindset allows us to navigate life's difficulties with a sense of resilience and grace. Instead of focusing on what we lack, we start to appreciate what we have and realize that even in the toughest times, there are lessons to be learned. Wisdom also teaches us the power of kindness and empathy. As we grow older, we begin to understand that everyone is fighting their own battles. We realize that a kind word or a small act of generosity can make a world of difference in someone's life. We learn that it's not always about being right or winning, but about making connections, building relationships, and lifting each other up. Wisdom shows us that the more we give, the more we receive in return. One of the most profound aspects of wisdom is the ability to forgive, not just others, but ourselves as well. Life is messy, and we all make mistakes. It's easy to hold on to guilt, regret, and resentment. But wisdom teaches us that forgiveness is the key to freedom. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, but it means letting go of the emotional burden that comes with holding on to anger or resentment. By forgiving, we release ourselves from the chains of the past and open ourselves up to a future filled with peace and possibility. In addition to learning from our mistakes, wisdom encourages us to embrace our uniqueness. Over time, we come to understand that we don't need to compare ourselves to others. The beauty of life lies in our individuality. Each of us has a unique path, and it's the choices we make along the way that define us. We learn to trust our instincts, to follow our hearts, and to honor our values. Wisdom helps us shed the need for external validation and empowers us to live authentically. Perhaps one of the most important lessons wisdom offers is the understanding that life is short. As we grow older, we begin to realize just how precious time truly is. We understand that the little moments matter, those quiet moments with loved ones, those fleeting moments of joy, those simple acts of kindness. Wisdom reminds us to live in the present, to savor the here and now, and to make the most of the time we have. So, how can we continue to cultivate wisdom as we age? First, we must embrace lifelong learning. Wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about being open to learning and growing every day. We must be willing to listen, to ask questions, and to seek out new perspectives. It's also important to surround ourselves with people who inspire us, who challenge us, and who encourage us to be the best version of ourselves. Another way to cultivate wisdom is by practicing self-reflection. Taking the time to pause and reflect on our experiences allows us to gain insight into our actions, thoughts, and behaviors. By reflecting, we can identify patterns, recognize areas for improvement, and celebrate our growth. Lastly, we must embrace gratitude. Wisdom teaches us to be thankful for the lessons, the people, and the experiences that have shaped us. When we practice gratitude, we open ourselves up to more joy, more peace, and more understanding. In the end, the gift of wisdom is not just about knowing more. It's about becoming more. It's about embracing life's lessons, learning from them, and using that knowledge to live a life of purpose, connection, and joy. What has wisdom taught you along your journey? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more uplifting content. Let's continue to learn and grow together. Aging is often viewed as a natural, inevitable part of life. But in the context of faith, it can also be seen as a part of God's divine plan. Throughout the Bible and in the lives of countless individuals, we see examples of how aging plays a key role in God's purpose for us. It is a reminder that every stage of life has a purpose and that God has a plan for each of us, no matter how old we are. The stories of those who have grown older in faith can inspire and remind us that with age comes not just wisdom, but also a deeper understanding of God's love and plan for our lives. One powerful story that illustrates God's plan through aging is the story of Abraham and Sarah. At an age when most people would think of retirement or slowing down, God called Abraham to leave his home and journey to a new land, promising him that he would become the father of many nations. But there was a catch. Sarah, his wife, was well beyond the age of childbirth. In the natural world, it seemed impossible. But in God's world, nothing is impossible. God miraculously enabled Sarah to conceive at the age of 90, and Isaac was born, fulfilling God's promise. Abraham and Sarah's story teaches us that God's plans are not bound by our human limitations. Even in old age, God can still bring forth new life, new possibilities, and new purpose. Another profound story of aging in God's plan is the life of Moses. Moses was called by God to lead the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt when he was already in his 80s. Initially, Moses doubted his ability to carry out such a great mission, given his age and the challenges ahead. Yet, God equipped him with everything he needed and used him to accomplish his will. The story of Moses teaches us that age is not a barrier to serving God. No matter how old we are, God can use us in incredible ways if we are open to His calling and willing to trust in His strength. Moses' leadership and obedience helped shape the future of an entire nation, demonstrating that God's plan for us often becomes clearer and more impactful as we grow older. We also find an example of God's plan for aging in the story of Elizabeth and Zechariah, the parents of John the Baptist. In their later years, they were childless, but God had a purpose for them. Even though they were both advanced in age, God blessed them with a child, John, who would go on to prepare the way for the Messiah. This story illustrates how God's plans can surprise us, even in our later years, and that His timing is always perfect. Elizabeth and Zechariah's faithfulness in their older years allowed them to be part of the most significant moment in human history, the birth of Jesus. Their story reminds us that God can give us purpose at any age, and sometimes His greatest plans unfold in the most unexpected ways. In more modern times, we can look at the lives of countless elderly individuals who, despite their age, continue to serve and impact the world around them. Take, for example, Corrie ten Boom, the Dutch Christian who was in her 40s when she was sent to a concentration camp during World War II for hiding Jews from the Nazis. After the war, she spent her later years traveling the world, sharing the message of forgiveness and hope. Even in her senior years, she continued to be a powerful witness for Christ. Her story shows that God's plan doesn't stop when we reach a certain age. If anything, it can deepen and expand the older we get. Another inspiring example is Grandpa Jack, a faithful elder at a local church who, despite being in his late 80s, continued to lead Bible studies and mentor young people in the congregation. His wisdom and faithfulness have impacted generations, showing that the role of a mentor and spiritual leader doesn't have an age limit. Grandpa Jack's life is a testament to the truth that God can use the elderly to influence and guide others in powerful ways. The stories of these individuals highlight a common theme, that age is not a limitation to God's calling. In fact, as we age, we often become more aligned with God's purpose, understanding more deeply the ways in which He works in our lives. Aging allows us to experience a deepening of our faith, a stronger connection with God, and the ability to pass on wisdom to those coming after us. It's in our later years that we often have the chance to reflect on our lives, recognizing the ways in which God has shaped us and how we can continue to fulfill His mission. In Psalm 92, verse 14, it says, "They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green." This verse speaks to the idea that, even as we grow older, we can remain fruitful and active in God's work. God's plan for us is not limited by our age, but rather, as we age, we are given the opportunity to bear more fruit, whether it's through sharing our wisdom, teaching the next generation, or simply living as an example of God's love and grace. Aging, then, should not be feared or seen as a burden, but celebrated as an integral part of God's divine plan. Just as God had a purpose for Abraham and Sarah, Moses, Elizabeth and Zechariah, and so many others, He has a plan for us, regardless of how many years we have lived. Every day we live is another opportunity to serve Him, to grow in wisdom, and to fulfill the purpose He has set before us. In the end, it's clear that aging is not just a natural process, but a beautiful part of God's plan. Each stage of life has its own purpose, and as we age, we become more equipped to carry out God's will. Let's embrace the gift of aging with open hearts, knowing that God has great plans for us at every stage of life. In every stage of life, especially as we age, we encounter challenges, some expected and others completely unforeseen. While challenges are an inevitable part of the human experience, how we respond to them can define the quality of our lives. Aging often brings with it its own set of struggles, health concerns, changes in family dynamics, or the loss of loved ones. But through it all, there's an incredible opportunity to face these challenges with grace. Grace doesn't mean that we won't experience hardship or difficulty, but it means that we choose to respond with patience, understanding, and faith, relying on God's strength to navigate even the hardest of circumstances. When we talk about grace, we are referring not just to the divine favor that God extends to us, but also to the ability to remain steadfast in our faith despite life's challenges. Grace is the lens through which we can choose to view our struggles, and it allows us to respond in ways that honor God, even when faced with adversity. In 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, Paul writes, "But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.'" This verse perfectly illustrates the concept of facing challenges with grace, acknowledging our weaknesses, but trusting that God's grace will be more than enough to carry us through. One of the most profound examples of facing challenges with grace is seen in the life of Job. Job was a man who faced immense suffering, losing his wealth, his health, and his family. Despite his circumstances, Job's faith never wavered. He questioned, he lamented, but he ultimately surrendered to God's will. In the end, Job was restored, and his story is a testament to the strength that grace can give us when we endure hardship with faith. Job's story teaches us that grace doesn't mean an absence of suffering, but the ability to endure it with dignity, faith, and trust in God's purpose. For many, the aging process itself can be a challenge. As the body grows weaker and physical abilities decline, it can be easy to feel discouraged or frustrated. Yet, facing these challenges with grace means accepting our limitations without losing sight of the greater purpose God has for us. Psalm 71 verse 9 says, "Do not cast me off in the time of old age. Do not forsake me when my strength is failing." This verse captures the cry of many who experience the physical decline that often comes with aging. But even in this season of life, there is an invitation to rely on God's grace. The challenges we face as we age can teach us to lean more deeply into Him, to embrace His sufficiency, and to trust that He can still use us, even when we feel weak. Moses, at the age of 120, was still leading the Israelites toward the Promised Land. Despite his advanced age, he remained steadfast in his leadership, trusting in God's guidance and strength. He faced countless challenges, grumbling from the people, the threat of enemies, and his own doubts. Yet, Moses continued to press on with grace, always returning to God for the wisdom and strength to keep going. His ability to face the challenges of leadership and life with grace, despite his age, serves as a powerful reminder that God can empower us to rise above our circumstances, regardless of how difficult they may seem. Similarly, Ruth's story is one of grace under pressure. After losing her husband, Ruth faced the daunting prospect of starting over in a foreign land. Despite her grief and uncertainty, Ruth chose to honor her mother-in-law, Naomi, and remain with her, trusting in God's provision. Her decision to face these challenges with grace not only changed her life, but also led to her becoming part of the lineage of King David, and ultimately, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Ruth's story reminds us that when we face life's challenges with grace and trust in God's plan, we open ourselves up to unexpected blessings. One of the most beautiful ways that we can show grace during difficult times is through forgiveness. As we face the challenges of aging, we may encounter relational difficulties, misunderstandings, or hurt. Grace allows us to forgive others, not because they deserve it, but because God has forgiven us. Forgiveness is a key element of grace, and it frees us from the bitterness and resentment that can weigh us down. The Apostle Paul, in Ephesians 4 verse 32, encourages us to be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. As we age, facing challenges with grace often means letting go of past hurts and choosing forgiveness as a way to preserve peace and joy in our hearts. Additionally, aging can bring challenges in terms of loss, whether it's the loss of health, independence, or loved ones. Yet, facing loss with grace allows us to surrender our grief to God, trusting that He is with us through the pain. In Matthew 5 verse 4, Jesus says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Mourning is a natural response to loss, but God promises us that He will be there to comfort us. Choosing to face loss with grace means that, even in our sorrow, we can rest in God's promises and find strength in His presence. Through all of life's challenges, the most important thing is that we don't face them alone. As we age and encounter the various trials that life throws our way, we must remember that we are never without God's grace. His presence is constant, and His strength is sufficient. The grace that we receive from God empowers us to rise above our challenges, to show compassion to others, and to live with hope, no matter the circumstances. As we grow older, we may face challenges that we never expected. Our bodies may weaken, our roles may change, and we may face personal loss. But as we navigate these challenges with grace, we allow God's power to be made perfect in our weakness. We are reminded that, in Him, we are never truly defeated, and that every challenge can become an opportunity to grow closer to Him, to deepen our faith, and to live out His purpose for our lives. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Corinthians, says it beautifully, "For when I am weak, then I am strong." This is the essence of facing challenges with grace, acknowledging our weakness and relying on God's strength to carry us through. In doing so, we not only face our trials with grace, but also become a witness to others of God's power and faithfulness. As we grow older, it's natural to reflect on the years that have passed and to think about what lies ahead. Aging invites us into a deeper understanding of life, not just in the present moment, but with an eternal perspective. While the world may focus on what we can achieve in the here and now, the Bible encourages us to fix our eyes on something far greater, the eternal life that awaits us. Understanding and preparing for what's ahead, with a focus on eternity, can provide us with peace and purpose as we age. In Colossians 3 verse 2, we are reminded to set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. This is the essence of living with an eternal perspective, recognizing that our time on earth is limited and that our ultimate hope lies in the promises of God for the life to come. Life on this earth is temporary, and it is easy to get caught up in the pursuit of things that will ultimately fade. But when we focus on what's eternal, on the things of God, our perspective shifts from the fleeting to the lasting. One of the most comforting aspects of living with an eternal perspective is the assurance that our lives have an eternal purpose. As we age, it's easy to wonder if our best days are behind us, or if we still have anything to contribute. Yet, the Bible tells us that we are never beyond God's purpose. Our role may change, but we are never too old to make an impact in His kingdom. Whether in the quiet moments of prayer, the wisdom we share with others, or the acts of service we offer, God continues to use us for His glory. In Psalm 92 verse 14, it says, "They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green." This verse is a beautiful reminder that no matter how old we are, we can still bear fruit for the kingdom of God. Preparing for what's ahead means acknowledging that our work here on earth is not finished until God calls us home. We are continually being shaped and molded by God's hand, and there is always an opportunity to live out His purpose, even in our later years. Jesus' teachings offer profound insight into living with an eternal perspective. In Matthew 6 verses 19 to 21, He warns, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal." This passage serves as a stark reminder to prioritize the eternal over the temporary. As we age, we may find that many of the things we once pursued, the material possessions, the status, the achievements, are no longer as important. What truly matters, according to Jesus, are the treasures we store up in heaven, the good deeds, the love we show others, and the way we live out our faith. Living with an eternal perspective means recognizing that our time on earth is finite, but the impact of our lives can extend into eternity. Every act of kindness, every moment spent in prayer, every opportunity to share the gospel is a part of our eternal investment. The Apostle Paul, in 2 Corinthians 4 verse 18, encourages us to fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. This mindset allows us to see beyond the challenges of aging and to focus on the eternal rewards that await us. Aging with purpose means preparing for the future not only in terms of physical well-being, but also in terms of spiritual growth. As we age, it's important to continue nurturing our relationship with God, to seek wisdom from His Word, and to stay connected to His purpose. The preparation for what's ahead is not just about planning for the practicalities of old age. but about growing deeper in our faith and finding new ways to serve God in the years to come. One powerful way to prepare for what's ahead is through the practice of legacy building. As we age, we have the unique opportunity to leave a spiritual legacy for the next generation. This might look like sharing our stories of faith with younger family members, passing down wisdom to children or grandchildren, or serving in church or community ministries. Our legacy isn't measured by the things we accumulate, but by the impact we have on the lives of others and the example we set in living out our faith. Abraham serves as a profound example of someone who lived with an eternal perspective. In Hebrews 11 verse 10, it says, "For he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God." Even though Abraham was promised a great nation and was blessed with descendants, he never lost sight of the eternal promise of God's kingdom. His life was a reflection of a faith that extended beyond the temporary, knowing that the ultimate fulfillment of God's promises would be realized in eternity. Similarly, Moses, in his later years, had the privilege of seeing God's plan unfold, even though he did not live to enter the promised land himself. In Hebrews 11 verse 13, it says, "All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance." Moses' life, though marked by challenges and unfulfilled promises on earth, was ultimately a life that pointed to the eternal. His faithfulness to God's calling, even when he didn't see the full picture, is a powerful reminder that living with an eternal perspective involves trusting God's plan, even when we don't fully understand it. As we approach the later stages of life, it is essential to maintain an eternal perspective in order to prepare for what lies ahead. This perspective helps us to view aging not as a time of loss, but as an opportunity to live out our purpose with greater clarity and focus. It shifts our focus from the fleeting nature of earthly concerns to the lasting impact of eternal ones. Living with an eternal perspective also encourages us to embrace hope. Aging may bring with it loss, physical challenges, or the realization that some dreams may not be realized in this lifetime. But for the believer, there is always hope, because we are assured of a future with Christ, where there will be no more tears, pain, or suffering. Revelation 21 verse 4 promises, "He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." This promise allows us to face the challenges of aging with hope, knowing that the best is yet to come. In conclusion, preparing for what's ahead involves not just planning for the practical aspects of life, but embracing an eternal perspective that shapes how we view our purpose, our legacy, and our relationship with God. It reminds us that we are part of a much greater story, and that the trials and joys of this life are but a fleeting moment compared to the eternity that awaits us. By setting our minds on things above, we can face the future with confidence, knowing that our lives are in the hands of a faithful and loving God who holds our eternal future. As we reflect on the journey of aging, it becomes clear that the way we view this process profoundly shapes how we experience it. Aging is not simply a passage of time, but a unique and beautiful journey that is full of lessons, growth, and opportunities to embrace. It is easy to get caught up in the idea of aging as something to be feared, resisted, or regretted. But when we shift our perspective, we come to realize that aging is not a curse. It's a part of God's grand design, a gift that invites us to grow, to reflect, and to embrace the richness that each season of life brings. In Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1, the Bible reminds us, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." Aging is part of God's plan for our lives, and as we age, we step into a new season with unique experiences, new opportunities to serve, and new ways to connect with God and others. Every stage of life brings its own challenges, but it also brings its own beauty and blessings. Embracing this journey means acknowledging that each moment, each year, and each stage is precious, filled with purpose and meaning. Aging, like any journey, is not without its difficulties. We may face health challenges, loss of loved ones, or feelings of loneliness and regret. However, the Bible offers us hope and encouragement in these moments. In Psalm 71, verse 9, David prays, "Do not cast me away when I am old. Do not forsake me when my strength is gone." This prayer reflects the fears and vulnerabilities that often accompany the aging process, but it also reveals a deep trust in God's faithfulness. As we face challenges in our later years, we are invited to lean into God's presence, knowing that He is with us every step of the way, offering strength, comfort, and peace. Aging also brings opportunities to reflect on the past, to look back at the lives we've lived, the relationships we've built, and the lessons we've learned. In Psalm 103, verse 5, it says, "He satisfies your desires with good things, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles." Though our bodies may grow older, our spirits can remain strong and renewed as we reflect on all that God has done for us. Embracing the journey means celebrating the memories, cherishing the relationships, and giving thanks for the ways in which God has led us through each season of life. One of the most beautiful aspects of aging is the wisdom that comes with it. As we grow older, we accumulate experiences and insights that shape our understanding of the world, of ourselves, and of God. In Proverbs 16, verse 31, it says, "Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained in the way of righteousness." The wisdom that comes with age is a precious gift that can be shared with others, especially younger generations. Embracing the journey means recognizing the value of the wisdom we have gained and using it to bless others, to teach, to mentor, and to pass on the lessons we have learned. In Titus 2, verses 2-3, Paul encourages older women to teach and train younger women, saying, "Older women likewise are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers or slaves to much wine. They are to teach what is good." This passage underscores the importance of sharing the wisdom we've gained with those who come after us. Embracing the journey means passing on our knowledge and experiences to those who need it, to help them navigate their own paths with grace, faith, and confidence. Another important aspect of embracing the journey of aging is accepting change. As we age, our bodies change, and so do our priorities and perspectives. We may have to let go of certain things, whether it's careers, possessions, or dreams. But this doesn't mean that life is over or that we have nothing left to offer. In fact, it's an opportunity to embrace the new season with fresh eyes and a renewed sense of purpose. Isaiah 46, verse 4 says, "Even to your old age and gray hairs I am He. I am He who will sustain you." God's faithfulness doesn't waver as we age. In fact, His sustaining grace only grows stronger in our later years. Embracing change is a vital part of the aging process, and it opens us up to new experiences and new ways to experience God's grace. There is also a deep peace that comes with accepting the inevitability of aging. Instead of fighting against it, we are invited to surrender to God's plan for our lives and trust that He is in control of every season. In Philippians 4, verses 6-7, Paul encourages us to do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. As we age, we can experience peace by trusting God with the future, knowing that He holds our lives in His hands. Embracing the journey means surrendering our fears and anxieties about aging to God and allowing His peace to fill our hearts. Additionally, embracing the journey of aging means continuing to live with purpose, no matter our age. Just because we are older doesn't mean we no longer have a role to play in God's kingdom. In fact, our later years may be some of the most fruitful. Psalm 92, verse 14 reminds us, "They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green." This verse speaks to the ongoing potential for growth and impact in the later stages of life. Embracing the journey means continuing to serve, continuing to grow, and continuing to use our time and resources for God's glory. In closing, embracing the journey of aging is not just about accepting the physical changes that come with time, but about embracing the spiritual growth, the wisdom, the relationships, and the opportunities to serve that come with each new season. Aging is a gift, a journey that invites us to draw closer to God, to reflect on His faithfulness, and to live with purpose and joy in every stage of life. As we walk through the years ahead, we are not alone. God is with us, guiding us, sustaining us, and giving us the strength to embrace each moment with grace. Let's choose to embrace the journey, with all its highs and lows, knowing that it is a journey that leads us closer to the heart of God, and that every moment is an opportunity to experience His love and faithfulness in new and profound ways. May we all live with the understanding that aging is not a curse, but a beautiful part of the life God has given us, a life that, when embraced fully, brings glory to Him and blessing to those around us.